What's up? It's Andy Grammer with Jag.
Hi, this is Carly Rae Jepsen, and you're listening to Jag.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Jonas hanging with Jag.
This is Heather Knox with the hottest Jag I've ever seen.
Ryan Seacrest with Jag.
It's B.O.B. checking in with my homie Jag. So much swag with my homie Jag.
It's the Jag Show Podcast.
Congratulations, podcast world. There are now over 1 million podcasts in Apple Podcasts. We'll see how many of those podcasts keep cranking out content and how many pod fade. The big thing I wanted to talk to you today about is remote recording and the discovery that I've made in the last week. I have a pair of Apple Airpods, first generation, got them as a birthday/Hanukkah present in December from my wife, and I love them. But I've recorded a lot of remote interviews this week, some with AirPods, some without, and I couldn't figure out why some people sound better on AirPods and some actually sound worse on AirPods and better on their laptop mic. And here's what I figured out. Apple, sneaky devils that they are, must have done something so that the AirPods only play well with Apple devices. I've taken Zoom calls on my iPad and I sound fine. I've taken calls on my iPhone and I sound fine. But the moment I try to pair my AirPods to my Windows computer, I sound like I'm down a hallway or in a tin can. And yes, you can use AirPods to Bluetooth stream music, but the microphone in them seems to only work well with other Apple devices. So keep that in mind if you are recording somebody using iPods. Only record with iPods if they're on an Apple device. I don't have any hard data on this. It's anecdotal evidence, but so far, it's definitely made a difference. Speaking of microphone quality, if you're not sure how your setup is going to sound, a new website launched called miccheck.me, linked in the show notes. You can go to that website real quick, and it will tell you what mic you're using and test it out if you want to check before you start recording. A couple other podcast resources linked in my show notes this week that I'll share with you right now. Medium has a nice article on how to deal with a lazy podcast host. If you've ever done a group project, you know that sometimes people don't carry their own weight. Nice article on how to deal with somebody who's not matching your level of effort. Also, the folks at Podcast Movement have a good read on how to stay sane at this time and, balance yourself out. You may have seen that meme floating around where they say if you haven't learned a new language or picked up a new skill while you're stuck at home, you're not doing a good job. No. Stay sane, stay healthy, especially if you're working from home and balancing work and home and kids and so many other things. Don't forget to focus a little bit of time on you. Edison Research, I've spoken about them as the gospel of audio research. They're pairing up with NPR, and they have a report on smart speakers, Google Home, Alexas, etc. They've got a webinar showing their results coming up this Thursday, April 30th, 2 p.m. Eastern. A link to sign up for that is in the show notes as well. My big news this week is that I've launched a new podcast series in partnership with my partners at Tanner Friedman Strategic Communications in Farmington Hills, Michigan. The podcast is called Michigan Motors Forward, and we are featuring Metro Detroit business leaders who've adapted their operations as well as helped their community during these difficult times. We've got some really good interviews up so far. Our first 4 episodes are up, including Detroit Public Television, Mark Bernstein from the Bernstein Law Firm, the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, and E.W. Grobel and Sons. The podcast is called Michigan Motors Forward. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts or just click the link in today's show notes. Looking forward to Tuesday's podcast. I am hoping to get Evo Terra, a podcast OG. As I mentioned, there are 1 million podcasts in Apple. He had the 40th podcast ever. Man knows a lot about podcasting. Hoping to have a chat with him next week. That'll do it for today's 5 Minute Friday. As always, stay home, stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next week. Later.